Hi humans. So today I'm going to be telling you about why I left architecture for social media management even after I passed out from one of the best colleges in India, which is SPA Delhi. Just to give you a very short history about me, I'm a Shiny, I'm 23 years old, and I just recently graduated from SPA Delhi about 3 months ago. And now I'm a full time freelancer in social media management. I manage pages for architecture firms, interior firms, and also a couple of other startups. Let me first tell you about why I went into architecture. So, initially, me being a person from an Indian family, I always had this engineering prospect in my mind, and not about the family but also about the surroundings that I was in. For example, the schools that I went to had a lot of people talking about, okay, I'm going to go to IIT, I'm going to pursue this exam called JEE, pass through it, get a good rank, and go to a good college. After which they'll get their BTech degree. So in my sixth grade is when this idea also sprung up in my head, and I went to my parents and I told them that listen, even I want to go and I want to try for Fiji and let's see if I get in or not into these coaching classes. So they said okay, sure, go ahead, whatever you want to do. So I thought okay, let me go for it. So I went to Fiji. I got a scholarship and everything, and since I got a scholarship, the natural tendency was to think that okay, maybe this is something she can do, this is something she's talented in. So I went to Fiji in 6th grade. I also continued in 7th grade, and I also did it up till 8th grade, which is when I kind of started getting tired of it. So I thought that maybe it's not the subjects, maybe it's not the goal, but maybe it's the coaching center. So I went to my parents and I said, listen, maybe we should try some other coaching center, and you know, maybe that environment wasn't working out for me um, in ways that I imagined it would. So we went to a different coaching center in the same city, and there I realized okay, that maybe the way of teaching is something that wasn't working out for me. But then later I kind of realized that this is not what I'm planning to achieve in my life, and that is why I'm not enjoying it still. So it wasn't the method, it wasn't the environment, it was nothing related to the surroundings, but what my inner voice was telling me. So I thought about it for quite a while before leaving this other coaching again and then putting this burden on my parents again to say that okay, no, this fees is gonna be wasted, because and it's a hefty fee when you go to these coaching centers. So I thought that okay, no, maybe I should think for a while, and then I got to thinking what I really like, and I came to this understanding that it is more of a creative tendency that I also have along with these technical skills. So I kind of got to researching, and I came across this term called architecture. Actually, before this, I while browsing through my prospective offices for engineering, I came across the infamous Google office. So, the headquarters of Google is something that fascinated me so much that I desperately wanted to go and end up there in Google. So, before this um, issue of switching the stream and coaching came in, I kind of had this aim in my mind that listen, I want to go and I want to work in the headquarters of Google. But when I started unfolding these layers, I realized that I want to go to Google because it's a fun office. It's made with slides in it. It has spaces just to read, spaces for your pets to hang out, place to cycle around the building, and all of that. So I thought, okay, maybe the idea of Google, the idea of joining Google comes from not a perspective of working in Google, but because of the environment that it's giving me. So I thought, okay, maybe I should go for something where I can design an environment because the environment is what is fascinating me. So I ultimately came to this conclusion that okay, maybe architecture is a field for me because you're designing environments and through softwares, which is something of a technical skill that I might enjoy. So I started preparing for my paper 2, and then first I took a long break in 11th grade, really thinking about if I want to pursue this because it comes with its own cons, right? So architecture initially might not have the same kind of salary balance as engineering does. So that is one big um, consideration that I had to take in. But I decided that I definitely don't want to do something that I don't like just for the money factor of it. So I decided that okay, let me start preparing for paper 2. So 12th grade I full-fledgedly started preparing for SPA Delhi, and yeah, luckily maybe not in the first attempt of the paper but in the second attempt of the paper I got a decent enough percentile to get into SPA Delhi. So that was a brief but long gist of why I wanted to do architecture and then eventually ended up in architecture. So coming to SPA Delhi and what my life is like there very briefly. So architecture, I realized it's not at all about just designing buildings. It is more about giving an overall perspective on the entire background of the building, how that building becomes the building that it becomes, why of it, the how of it, all the questions related to the habitable space is what architecture comprises of and more. So through this process, it was not just about um, the technical aspects of designing the building, but also about um, presenting the building, creating a story behind the building, reasoning why this building is the perfect solution for whatever you need, right? So it was a very holistic kind of stream, and I really enjoyed it throughout the years. But I also was prepared for the burden that it comes with. I was warned by a lot of people that it is going to be really um, time taking and hectic at a couple of points. So I had all of that in mind. So it was really that way, and it did live up to its expectations. So yeah, but whatever it was, I had a lot of fun through the process, and passing through these competitive streams like engineering and then JEE paper 2, I was also pretty competitive within the college, which is why I kind of scored decent marks, I would say. But talking about the enjoyment and the passion that I had for it didn't turn out to be the way I expected it to be. So there are a lot of people, especially in such an esteemed institution as SPA Delhi, who are genuinely really passionate towards becoming an architect for the process of being an architect, right? Which means that they want to stick towards um, this goal of first sketching out that building, the ideating that building, then also being on site for that building, finishing up the final touches, which is not at all a short process. It is a long process that takes a lot of commitment. Whereas I came from the creativity standpoint where, let So in during my summer holidays, I used to have like a bundle of crafts collected, like stacked up, and I used to do like a different craft every day because whatever called to me, I just wanted to create, let go, more exploratory. And I wasn't like a long term experienced or learned artist, I would say. It was more an exploratory creativity, which, whatever comes to mind, I put it, experiment with it, and see how it goes. So, this was something that kind of strained me mentally in the sense of a little bit of burnout because although I did score decent enough marks, but I didn't really want to do this for my lifetime, is what I realized. And yeah, and now I've come to terms with the fact that a lot of people do change dreams in their life, and it's not such a big deal, um, or so difficult or so unusual to do that. So during my architecture journey as well, I realized that um, through the stages of architecture, like the concept development, design development, and then the working drawings and all of that structures, etc., that we have, the process that I enjoyed the most was the concept phase because that is where the story and the identity of the building came into play. So even during my jury, I had always convinced them based on the concept that I very strongly held with the building. So the entire reason behind whatever the building is and why it is what it is. So that was the process that I enjoyed, which is the storytelling process of it. So besides this, also during COVID, I had started a small business with two of my friends, and it was just a customizing business where we used to make illustrations thanks to architecture, which we had learned Adobe Illustrator, and we used to draw illustrations of whatever pictures people used to send us, printed on products of whatever of their choice, and then send it back to those people. So during this process, our entire sales was driven through social media and purely through Instagram. So I realized that Instagram isn't just a platform for an individual person to put out their events, but also it's a major industry when it comes to people's small businesses and even large businesses putting out their brand identity, their presence online, telling people who they are, what they represent, and all of that. So during this journey of me doing my small business with my friends, I realized that okay, this is something that calls to me, it appeals to me, it's something that I'm good at also because we did tend to hit around 1 million views on a couple of reels, and the turnout to that was very instantaneous and very rewarding as compared to architecture. So, for a person like me, I do like to get instant rewards also. So, social media did have that impact on me. And since it was COVID, um, which is only in my second year, I kind of also started doing this part time um, with my mom's business, with a couple of other people online part time, creating content for them as well. And the turnout wasn't always, I would say, 1 million views or going viral, but it was always rewarding to some extent or the other. The process of creating such content and seeing what other people are doing in the world and then putting your own small bit to it was something that excited me. And also because it's such a fast paced industry where things keep changing every week, every month, you get that creative freedom um, as a flexibility to keep changing every month. And building identity is just not just for myself but also for different brands in the industry, getting to know how different businesses are working. So all of that was also creation that was not very literal. The idea of businesses started to excite me, the idea of storytelling started to excite me, the idea of content creation already excited me since I was there in that stream. So I started slowly deviating towards that. And during my internship, I joined an architectural firm called Studio Lotus, which is also based in Delhi. And I was a part of their graphic design for their monograph. And later, I also joined them part time in my fifth year alongside my thesis as a social media content manager over there. So I helped them in creating content for their firm, video content, just reels. So I was there present, recording people talking, recording people just doing things in the studio. And that process of interaction with people, their journey through architecture, and their thought processes behind different projects was something that really, really excited me. So, yeah, so basically now I couldn't say I'm completely straying away from architecture, because that is what has created this personality in me to say that okay, I can do whatever I want, I can create whatever I want, and I can have the capability to present it as well. So I feel like I found this safe mix and safe blend between understanding this industry and then creating for this industry the parts that I like to. So, understanding their story behind the building and then putting out to the people so that they know that this is not just brick, cement, and glass. It is an entire story that shapes life, shapes places, and yeah, so my intent is now to just help these brands, these firms come along with, their um, stories, their individualities now to the world, and I've really been enjoying it so far. So yeah, so I would say a lot of people think that the degree that you do is the career that you pursue, but I think sometimes we get lost in this mindset of the world which might not align with ours, and it's always good to experiment things and see if you are good at something, then we can always take it up. If not, then life happens ultimately. So I feel whatever decision I made happened to be by chance, but now I feel like it is something that I'm genuinely content with. Since I'm content with it, I am able to work 24/7 on this, and which is why I'm making money in it. Which is another part that I talked about earlier, that architecture might not balance out the payment that engineering gives, but if you are genuinely passionate about something that you do, I feel you can easily make money in it, because you will enjoy that process. You will think of new things to follow through in that domain. And if you have that kind of passion and integrity towards something, I feel like you can definitely go towards that stream. It might not, like for me, it didn't start out with architectural firms and social media. It started out with just therapy based firms, my own small business, some artists that I collaborated with to handle their social media. So it doesn't necessarily have to be your field even. You can also experiment and learn by practicing. It works out if it has to. So yeah, I feel like that's all for what I wanted to share about my journey from architecture to social media, and mostly that was it. Yeah, and if you have any questions, please send me a DM and I'll for sure answer it. See you. Bye bye.